Welcome back, and you're watching Market Fatafat on EG. Now, this is a show where we tell you all the stocks that have been buzzing in trade, either on the back of news flows or on the technical front as well. And let's look at the market. As of now, in the last half an hour, nothing seems to have changed much in terms of the market. Nifty still down almost 0.5% in trade. Broader markets too performing in tandem with the benchmark indices. Almost at the day's lowest point is what the Nifty, Sensex, as well as the mid cap, as well as the small cap is trading at. Nifty Bank too clearly a bit under pressure today as well, especially the PSU banking side. Let's look at some of these names, in the Nifty 500, the mid and small cap side. What's holding on to gains today is Trident. Then we have Capri Global, JBM Auto, Alok Industries. All these have seen strong gains, and among the losers we have Bandhan Bank, Navin Fluorine, Spark, Hind Copper, as well as Aarti Industries, all down and out in trade as well. Other than that, when you're looking at it in terms of mid-cap other names, we have Hindustan Petroleum, as well as we have Nika, Policy Bazaar, Escorts, which are holding on to strong gains today as well. So yes, these are some of these names that have been buzzing away in trade. Obviously, we'll be giving more details on some of these other stocks that I just spoke about as well and why they are buzzing. But let's keep an eye out on the markets. Nothing exciting. A lot of individual movers that have been buzzing in trade because of stock-specific news that we've seen. But markets continue to be subdued as well. But on the technicals, let's bring on board Aditya Agarwala then from Invest for Edu, joining you with us to talk about the technical stocks today. And Aditya, very good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in with us on ET Now. Let's start with your first stock then for today, and that is Motilal Oswal. This one is making a lot of technical analyst list as well. So what are you finding interesting about this one? Where do you see it in terms of the targets from here on now?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having the show. Clearly it's a very strong looking chart, to be honest, and continues to make higher lows. And from the time it's broken out from the narrow consolidation phase, looks very strong for the charts. I would be surprised if it actually heads closer to its all-time high, which is closer to 1500. And look at the volumes, Vinny, in the recent up moves. They're very encouraging if you're a buyer in the stock. So overall, the chart setup looks very strong. If somebody's already holding on to the stock, then definitely makes sense to continue to hold with the stop loss closer to about 1300 on the downside, or maybe 1250, and look for a target of 1500 on the upside. If you want a fresh entry in the stock, definitely at current levels as well, you can go ahead and buy the stock and put a maybe stop loss of closer to about 1250 on the downside and look for a target of 1500 on the upside.
Okay, keep an eye out on those targets for Motilal Oswal. Let's move on, talk about Aarti Industries. Today, this has been clearly sluggish in trade, seen fall coming in, and this is the new long-term contract for Aarti Industries is at risk, and this is coming owing to the EU ban on methyl alcohol law, which is a ban on that front. Now, your European Commission has said and has decided not to renew the approval of this for the company. And according to Aquarius, now the new long-term contract for Aarti Industries can be impacted. Aarti's overall new long-term contract was mainly to supply the supply of the intermediate for methyl alcohol. I'm sorry, I don't know the chemical names that well. Yeah, so it's a herbicide. So let's keep an eye on that. But the EU member states have been directed to withdraw this authorization for the crop protection product now containing active ingredients, and this will be by 23rd of April 2024. Furthermore, the brokerage believes that with the EU ban, there could be a diversion of volumes and EU to other markets as well. From there, it could move to other markets. So yes, clearly we could see some pressure coming in on Aarti Industries as well, and that is why the stock today is clearly under pressure, down almost 4%.
All right, that's the news flow coming in on Aarti Industries. But let's move on, and one of the counters that is seen to be holding strong in Nifty 50 today, that is Adani Ports. And Aditya, in this week market, Adani Ports holding strong. Is this looking strong on the technical front, and will you still be a buyer?
Is that for me?
Yes, Aditya, for you.
Oh yes, definitely. It's a very strong looking chart, no doubt about that. And after all the mayhem that we've seen in the Adani Group stocks, it is trading at an all-time high again and continues to make higher highs, higher lows. So it's a very strong looking chart, no doubt about that. And further, if you take a look at the recent volumes in the uptrend that the stock has posted, it confirms that the uptrend is here to stay. And if one is looking to hold on to the stock even from current levels, I'm looking at a target of 1250 to about 1300 on the upside. And RSI, the most important indicator which I follow, has taken support at the 60 level in the recent correction, the minor correction that we've seen. From there, it's turned upwards. So all in all, it suggests that it's a very strong bull trend that we're witnessing in the stock. And that is likely to continue in the coming trading sessions as well. Despite the fact that market is down today, stock is holding on to its gains.
The stock is holding strong in today's trading session. We're moving on to another counter, and that is Skipper India. This counter is seen to be gaining after pricing 24 million rights issue at a discount, wherein if you see this counter, this is seen to be gaining the most since November 20th, and that's after the provider of the drilling services for oil and gas companies said that they will sell 24 millions of their shares to the existing shareholders at below the market prices, and the shares have seen a sharp rise of as much as 7.5% and is also trading with the volumes at 3.2 times its 3 months volume of a full day average, and that's set to advance for the fourth straight session, and the company will sell around 10.3 million shares at rupees 194 rupees each in this particular rights, and that's why this counter is in focus and seen to be gaining and holding strong since morning itself, almost an 8% gain on Skipper.
And absolutely trading at the day's highest point as of now as well. That's Skipper for y'all. Let's move on to stock number 21, and then Ansh, Tata Steel. Why is this one in focus today? And what's the news flow that we're picking up here today? A bit subdued in trade as of now.
Yes, so in the third quarter of FY24, Tata Steel demonstrated robust performance in steel production and delivery volumes. The crude steel production reached 5.3 million tons, reflecting a noteworthy 6% growth compared to quarter-on-quarter basis and year-on-year basis as well. Over the 9-month period of FY24, there was a solid 4% growth on year-on-year basis increase in crude steel production. On delivery front, Tata Steel India achieved its highest ever sales with delivery totaling around 4.8 million tons. This performance was further underscored by best ever delivery figures for the first 9 months of the fiscal year, marking a substantial 6% growth compared to the same period in the previous fiscal as well. Now, this robust performance of production and delivery performance signifies company's strong position in the industry and its ability to meet the demand effectively.
That's the news flow coming in on Tata Steel. On to their Q3 updates. We're moving on, and Aditya, the next counter that you have picked up is NDTV. Tell us how the chart's looking like for this one.
Shruti, to be honest, it's a very strong looking chart. If you take a look at the entire media pack, it's looking very attractive. Nifty Media Index, and within that, the components are also looking very strong. To specifically talk about NDTV, recent up moves have been massive. Post 5th of December, stock witnessed a breakout on extremely healthy volumes, and after that it went into a sideways consolidation, and now seems it's resumed its uptrend after breaking out from a bullish flag pattern, and it was a year-long consolidation from which it had broken out on 5th of December. So it's a very strong looking chart. At current levels, one can actually start nibbling into the stock. It's a good low-hanging fruit, can test levels of 310, 320 easily on the upside, and if somebody holds on to it for some more time, maybe a quarter or so, stock can test levels of 350 plus as well. And plus RSI, which I closely follow, is in the bull territory. So overall, the chart structure is extremely bullish, and one should look at the stock from medium to long-term time horizon.
Keeping an eye out on that. Let's move on and pull up the charts for Phoenix Mills. That's the stock in focus as well, and they have actually formed a new real estate unit that is Astria Realty. Now, this is the stock that is in focus mainly, and after that we've seen the stock is gaining as much as 2.8% as of now. So I'm just reading as of now the details from the exchange that have come in this afternoon just now. Overall, the proposed authorized capital for this new company Astria is going to be around 5 lakh rupees, and obviously this is a wholly owned subsidiary to be incorporated in India and shall carry out the business of real estate activity that is owned or leased property. So on the back of that, we've seen Phoenix Mills that's been in focus today on the back of this news flow, as the company has approved an incorporation of its wholly owned subsidiary, that's Astria Realty Private Limited. So keeping an eye out on that one today.
All right, but moving on, and let's focus to Nika then. And Ankita, tell us how are the Q3 updates coming in for this one.
Come out with its quarter 3 updates, and on the back of that we did see the stock soar in trade up 3.5%, has given up those gains But let's look at the Q3 updates then. The company has said it saw consistent growth across its three business verticals in the December quarter, even as some impact on discretionary consumption was seen due to some short-term pressures. But Nika also expects its beauty to personal, the BPC vertical, to report a gross merchandise value growth in the mid-20s for the October to December quarter, while the net sales growth to be around 20% on a year-on-year basis. Now, the difference in GMV and the NSV growth is primarily due to the brand-led pricing and discounting, mainly in mass and masstige categories. The underlying order volume growth is healthy and consistent, reflecting strong consumer demand, is what the company said. Also, the company said that its BPC growth was ahead of that of the overall industry. However, the firm said that the industry growth slipped below the long-term trajectory, but should revert to the medium in the near term, given the strong macroeconomic and demographic outlook. And on the back of this, Nika is in focus today.
We're keeping an eye out on Nika on the back of its Q3 updates as well. But let's move on and talk about Nika on the charts then. And Aditya, this one, when you look at it, has not done too much of an excitement in the last 6 months. Especially just started picking up pace in the last couple of months. What's the story now for Nika on the charts?
So it's been a one-way decline, Winnie, post-listing for the stock. And if you take a look at the last 1.5 year chart, it's just been into a consolidation phase. And now it looks like it's breaking off from the consolidation phase. Technically, we call that an inverted head and shoulders pattern. It's a very long consolidation pattern that we're seeing at the moment. And from there, it's finally breaking out. And if it sustains above 180 odd levels, I believe investors or traders can actually look at getting into the stock. One of those stocks which we usually don't talk much about. But above 180, I'm looking at a target of 210 to about 230 on the upside. And these are near-term targets, Winnie. If actually there is steam in the stock and we see buying on the back of healthy volumes post 180 levels, I wouldn't be surprised if stock actually tests levels beyond 250 as well. And on the downside, 170 to about 160 is a good strong support area. So overall, the chart structure is looking very bullish. It's yet to see that kind of massive up move. We would see that, I believe, in the coming time. So do keep an eye on the stock. Traders should definitely watch out for a trade above 180 for targets of 230 to about 250 as well on the upside.
All right, that's the technical check on Nika. But from the oil and gas space, let's have a look at ONGC. This counter is in focus, and as of today, has seen a rise of as much as 2% and hit the highest level since May 2015 as well. And that's after the company started the first oil production from the deep water block in India's eastern offshore. And on the back of this news flow, this counter is in focus because this particular offshore block was one of the much awaited ones for ONGC to start the production, and finally the production has been started from this particular block, and definitely a cheer coming in for ONGC stock as well, which is seen to be hitting its highest level since May 2015, and that's why the stock is in focus today.
Okay, that's why we're keeping an eye out on ONGC today. Let's move on to stock number 26, and that is Federal Bank. This one is down and out in trade, and there's a news flow that has come in, and also a brokerage note that is highlighting in terms of the news flow, and that is from Nomura. They are saying that Federal Bank had proposed to the RBI a 1-year extension on Shyam Srinivasan's tenure till September 2025. Now, Mr. Srinivasan has been the MD and CEO of the company since September 2010, and RBI norms do not allow professional CEOs to have a tenure of more than 15 years. So that 15-year time period will be getting over. So now RBI has actually asked the bank to propose a mix of internal as well as an external candidate for the post of the new MD and CEO in place of Mr. Srinivasan's term that will end in September 2024. The bank will have a new MD and CEO. Now, contrary to the move in the past, external candidates appointed as the MD and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank, internally we have seen believes that the executive directors are to be preferred candidates, and obviously that's something that we are keeping an eye out on as well. And Federal Bank has 2 executive directors on its board. That is Mr. Harsh Dugar, who's appointed as the ED in June 2023, as well as Ms. Shalini, who's been appointed as the ED in Jan 2020. So Federal Bank has one of the lowest employee attrition rates among other private banks as well. And what Nomura is saying, they do do not think the change in management would derail the structural improvement that we've seen in terms of the growth and profitability of the company as well. And while obviously the potential appointment of external candidate as a new CEO does raise some bit of an uncertainty, but they do not believe that could hamper a bit of the growth of the company. So let's keep an eye out on Federal Bank. But this news flow surely is keeping the stock a bit subdued in trade today.
Well, yes, more clarity required in the times ahead. But moving on then, and let's shift focus to another another stock from the financial space, and Aditya, that is AU Small Finance Bank. Tell us how the chart's looking like for this one. Just last week, this counter came out with its Q3 updates as well, but not much of a cheer. But how's the chart looking today?
Especially the charts are very bullish. In fact, it's broken out into an all-time high territory. While the banking stocks are correcting in trade today, Bank Nifty itself is down 400 points. The stock is up and about, running away. So looks like there's more room in the upside. One can look at buying fresh into the stock above 800. I'm looking at a target of 850. And volumes are also encouraging here. Plus, if I take a look at the technical indicator setups, those are also suggesting a sharp bullishness in the stock. So overall, the chart structures are looking attractive. If somebody is already holding on to it, they can definitely add on to the position. And if somebody is looking for a fresh entry, these are good levels to enter the stock and look for a target of 850 on the upside.
On AU Small Finance Bank from Aditya, but let's move on, talk about IRCTC. What's Investec saying about IRCTC, Ankita?
That's correct. There's a note by Investec that's come out on IRCTC, and they're maintaining a buy on the counter with a target price of 1,080 rupees from 900 rupees. They've hiked the target price. Now they're seeing that this is time to seize the Vande Bharat opportunity, because Government of India is aiming to add 475 Vande Bharat trains by March 2025. Now, one Vande Bharat train can generate an annual EBIT of rupees 3 crores, and Government of India is aiming at 475 Vande Bharat trains, as I mentioned, which will lead to an EBIT potential of 1,400 crores. And Vande Bharat trains are likely to support the higher earnings growth in the medium term as well for IRCTC. And on the back of this, they've given it a buy and hiked the target price as well. And on the back of that, we see IRCTC soaring in trade, up almost more than 1.5% in trade.
Moving on, and let's shift focus to another counter that's seen to be flying high, and Aditya, JK Cement is one such counter that has hit an all-time high for itself even in today's trading session. Tell us what sort of a more upside that you are looking out for JK Cement then?
Shrishti, you also called it a wow, right? Looking at the move right now. So let's just say that, Aditya, would you also say a wow move is expected from here on as well?
Oh yes, definitely it's a wow stock, and without a doubt, look at the way that the stock has made money for the investors and continues to make higher highs, higher lows. In fact, if you take a look at the returns of last year till now, massive returns for the stock. And then within these smaller cement companies, this has definitely outperformed. And still, I believe the steam is not over. One can definitely continue to hold on to the stock, add more at current levels if they want to. I'm looking at an upside target of at least 4,200 here, and that gives you a good decent 200 rupees still on the upside. And the structure is extremely bullish, continues to make higher highs, higher lows, as I mentioned, and RSI is also still not overbought. So there is more room on the upside left. Put a stop loss closer to about 39.40, and you should see targets of 4,200 in the stock.
Stock 4,200 is the target that Aditya is talking about for JK Cements as well. So keeping an eye out on that. Let's move on, talk about Bank of Baroda. Ansh, this one doesn't seem to be doing anything great in trade today. Q3 updates, I think, is keeping the stock subdued in trade, down 3% as of now.
Yes, starting with positives first, actually. Bank of Baroda has demonstrated strong performance in its global business with a notable year-on-year increase. The global business has reached 23 lakh crore, reflecting a substantial 10.6% growth. The global deposit also witnessed a robust 8.3% year-on-year increase, reaching 12.4 lakh crore. In the domestic market as well, Bank of Baroda's deposit and advances showed positive growth trend. Domestic deposit marked a 6.3% increase on year-on-year basis, whereas the global advances witnessed significant growth, reaching around 10.5 lakh crore, up by around 13.6% compared to previous year. Now, despite of the strong financials, stock is down around 3 to 4%, and the financials were not up to the mark as per the market expectation, and also if we compare it to its peers. On the charts as well, there has been a breakdown from an upward sloping support trend line.
All right, that's about this banking stock. But moving on then, and let's shift focus to ICICI Prudential and Aditya. This counter seem to be consolidating, not just in the past 5 days, 1 month, even in 6 months. The stock hasn't done much for itself. Is this a breakout candidate that you're looking at?
Yes, Srishti, it's not broken out yet. I'm preempting a breakout in the stock, and then these are stocks when they break out, they move very sharp. So I believe one may not get an opportunity to enter the stock. So at current levels, it is providing you a decent opportunity to enter the stock. Above 550 is the breakout level that I'm eyeing. It will break out from a long consolidation channel, as you mentioned. It's not done much for itself. Above 550, I'm looking at a target of 600 and 630. The time frame could be medium, maybe a 3-month, 1 quarter could be looked at as a time frame for the targets to be met. And interesting is the setup of the RSI here. It is still in the bull zone, and the recent correction also taking support at the lower end of the bull zone. So overall, looks like the uptrend is still intact. It's a consolidation that we're seeing in the stock, and once the consolidation phase is over, we would see massive up move in ICICI Prudential. In fact, the entire insurance space should see another round of buying coming very soon.
Okay, that's the view coming in on ICICI Pru from Aditya. But, that was the last talk for today. So thank you so much, Aditya, Kunal, Ankita, as well as Ansh for joining in with us. And with that, viewers, it's going to be a goodbye from Shrishti, myself, as well as the team who put this show together. But as we slip into break, hear out what Hiren Ved had to say in terms of the PSU rally. He believes that it's going to be continuing in the long term. What else is he looking at? Some of the stocks that he's placed his bet on. Listen in.
I mean, the best performing stocks have been PSUs.
Do you think the party will continue or the rally will continue
In
PSUs?
longer term, yes. Near term, I think we've seen a very parabolic rise in many of these stocks, right? So there could be over enthusiasm, euphoria, which could have set in the short run. But an entire asset class doesn't move like this until and unless there is a good reason for it to happen, because markets are not irrational. We could wish it away. You know, PSUs have been a bad name for a long time.
The ugly ducklings have become the swans now. Let me put it this way.
Well, Mr. Modi on the floor of the house told everybody that don't ignore PSUs, right? So it's at our peril that we ignore it. So I think, yes, longer term, the way their balance sheets have improved, I think general policy has been quite supportive to creating value in PSUs. But again, I would not have a broad brush that just because you're a PSU. Today what's happening is that anything that is a PSU is going up, right? I mean, like, that's not going to sustain.
What do you like in PSUs? Where have you invested?
So I'll tell you where we have invested is largely our participation has been in defense.
Okay.
Right? Because that was a very clear area where, unlikely that while the private sector will also benefit from greater participation, but I think the big monopolistic players are always going to remain the big PSUs, right? So HAL, the BELs, the BDLs of the world, you're not going to be able to replace that for strategic reasons.